Yes, tonight we're going to talk a little more about what's going on. We thought it was over with. We stopped asking people, so how you doing during COVID? Well, it's back. And we've got two guests tonight that are going to help us talk about it. Our first one is Burlington's own Johnny Chagnon. Johnny, come on in.
I'm
Hey,
in.
Johnny. Hi, Johnny. So you went to Ptown last week. You came back. You tested positive. Okay, let's do a little backstory first. What do you do for a living?
Well, right now, what I do for a living is COVID testing for the health department at the Pine Street location. So,
Okay,
well,
so yeah. So if anybody knows anything about this, it's you. So when did you get vaccinated?
I actually was in the first tier in Vermont, so I believe I was my second shot of Moderna was for February 15th. So
Wow, that's
one of the early ones.
yeah, very good. Okay, so and you've been administering tests since then. How is that? What are people's attitudes when they come in to get a test?
Most people are pretty great. Like it was very busy, like because we saw the worst of the pandemic this year, earlier this year. So a lot of people were symptomatic. A lot of school kids, outbreaks at the schools. Um, that all kind of died down, and now it's a lot of people just doing it for travel, which is kind of good to see. So it's like people who are like going on a fun vacation, so they're in a good mood or whatever. So it's
All
definitely.
right,
Uh,
fun vacation. Last week, you and your cadre of friends went down to Provincetown for Bear Week. Did you
mhm.
have any hesitancy at all?
I have been, since the reopening in Vermont, I've definitely gotten a lot more relaxed and being vaccinated because I believe in vaccinations. I believe strongly in them. Um, and I honestly didn't have any qualms about going on this vacation. So the only time that when I started to was because I'm part of like the Provincetown community space and like some other Facebook groups for Bear Week. When I started to give it a little side eye was when after July 4th, people started posting about them and their fully vaccinated friends testing positive. And it wasn't really reported at the time. Like they weren't really saying much about it as a town or like in the news. Um, but I was seeing these people posting, and it seemed like a lot of people. And but then when I was looking at the report, the town manager said it was mostly unvaccinated people that were testing positive. So driving out there, I was still feeling pretty good. I didn't really have any like worries about this.
So, where did you stay when you were there?
At the Dunes Edge campground.
Okay. All right. So, fresh air,
Yeah, open air.
open air.
Pretty much like we did choose to do open air events. I avoided all the really like packed events like the A House and like the official events that they were having that week. We went to some of the smaller ones intentionally because we wanted to be less packed and open air events.
And so, did you go to the tea dance at the boat slip?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We were hanging with some friends on the balcony, and they were having a party up there because they didn't want to go into the crowd. Like we were all kind of taking some precautions because we heard about the positives that were happening from July 4th.
So, did they ask for vaccination proof when you were in P Town at any of the locations?
Boat slip was the only place I was asked. So there's that.
So, what about mask wearing? Were people wearing masks?
Absolutely not. So I saw maybe a handful of people wearing masks. There were some staffs, like some restaurants where their staff was all wearing masks, but like at the boat slip, most people weren't. And like Massachusetts isn't at 100% vaccination rate, so just seeing that is knowing that like there's a lot of unvaccinated people in the mix not wearing masks, and because not every place was asking for vaccination cards.
Okay. So, how many were in your troop of friends that went to Provincetown?
So we were camping at my campsite. There was like three people, and then there was a few other people at the campground. But I like to collectively say like the Vermont gays. There was a dozen of us that went out there.
A dozen. All right. So, how many of that dozen came back and tested positive?
So in my like the people that I know, I believe it's at seven now, and then the official amount of people who've been tied to Ptown in Vermont is 10. So I'm sure there's going to be a few more too. I've been we have a couple of like chats going, so we're all keeping tabs on each other, because people are also like, you don't test positive right away. It's only been back, so everyone has to get retested who tested negative this weekend, just to make sure they're in the clear.
So what is the gap there from a type that if you caught it and then getting tested, it would show up on a test?
Typically, it's recommended to get tested up to 7 days after the exposure. If you're not feeling comfortable with that, like the older recommendation was 14 days after the exposure. So honestly, I would trust that more. Like,
All right.
if you test
Okay.
after your exposure, then you're in the clear.
All right. So, any regrets?
Um, I It was a fun weekend. Like,
Yeah.
I regrets
No.
that because honestly, we all went into it with the best intentions. We had a great time together. Um, we were honestly following the guidelines that were given to us. So I'm not going to say that we're not. We did put ourselves at risk. We took that risk, but I don't think it was communicated to us what the risk actually was, because
Okay.
there's been like, I think it's a upward of 300 people now that are linked to this outbreak, fully vaccinated. So we weren't aware of that was the risk, that like everyone who was testing positive was fully vaccinated.
All right. So this weekend there were two events that were scheduled. One was the House of LeMay's SantaCon pub Christmas in July pub crawl on Saturday night, and on Sunday was the return of Burly Bear, the male dance party that happens monthly, or did happen monthly until March, and it was going to return this week. Wednesday, they canceled Burly Bear, and today, Friday, we canceled tomorrow night's pub crawl. Good ideas?
Yes, because I know there was more people than just my friend group who went to P-Town, and there's a lot of people who are like testing negative right as soon as they get home and being like, "Oh, I'm all good," and then they're going off and they're not getting retested. So I definitely think it's good to be cautious at least the first like month after. Honestly, like, I don't even know how long we need to be cautious. Like, we need to figure out what was going on, like if this was a new strain, or like, if we need to get booster shots. That's the talk that's happening right now. Like, we got to figure out what the hell happened in P-Town before we feel confident again.
All right. So I'm not your first interview. You've been on Good Morning America. You've been on our local CBS channels, WCAX Channel 3. Any other interviews have you done?
Yeah, there was another one, but honestly, I can't even find it. So some local news in Boston. Um, but yeah,
All right. Well, Johnny,
sure. I was like tested. I was having like a fever, and I was like really loopy, so I don't even remember the interview.
so your symptoms were rather mild, weren't they?
They probably. I think they could have been much worse. I
Yeah.
definitely think that the vaccine helped, but I still had a fever for 2 days. I'm still feeling very like loopy. Like, I get really tired and winded when I leave bed, and this is 4 days out. Um, Congested. It felt like it hit me hard, but I definitely think it could have been harder.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Johnny. Thank you, because Russell and I hope to be in P-Town in 3 weeks, and we're taking your advice, and we'll be paying attention. So thank you very much for sharing your information with us, and take care.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Wow. A lot to learn, a lot to take in. We'll have more later on. Thank you. Thanks for watching. We love our fans, but you know who we love more? Our subscribers. Yes, yes, yes. So why don't you go right now and push that subscribe button? Then you'll know when we release our new videos, and we release new ones every week. Yes, and while you're at it, leave a comment. And you know what? One of my overworked interns just might respond to you. Oh, what the heck? If I'm bored, I might even write back to you. Wouldn't that be great? And while you're at it, tell all your friends to watch Amber Live every Sunday night, 8 o'clock Eastern. Thank you.